We have an exciting treat for you today. Before we get started, we'll just do some introductions, just so you know who's who. I'm Janet. I'm your host. I'm a quantum healing practitioner, and what I do is I help take people to the uncharted waters of who they really are for healing, for spiritual awakening, and for self-awareness. And I'm talking all about spiritual sovereignty and spiritual autonomy all year this year. That's kind of the topic. I just really felt led to that topic. And there are a lot of ways that you can develop that aspect of yourself spiritually, to develop yourself and your abilities, and how you connect with yourself and how you connect with the divine in a spiritual way. And I know that I'm not the end all be all for any of this stuff. And I always tell you, don't take my word for it. Go get your own truth. I am happy to share my experiences. I'm happy to share some of the things that I've learned on my journey. But as always, you should always take what you learn with a grain of salt and know that they're coming through human filters, which is us. Take these things with good, healthy, intuitive questions back to God and get your own truth on it and figure these things out for yourself on your journey. We're happy to be here to support you and hold space for you and love you on your journey. But at the end of the day, the onus is on you to figure out what truth looks like inside of your own body and your own being. So that's my disclaimer. I am so excited to welcome Megan on today. She's going to be taking us through a healing experience. And pretty soon I'm going to just pin you, Megan. You'll be the only one on camera. Those of you who have things to share, if you have questions, feel free to unmute your mic, feel free to unmute your camera, feel free to talk in the chat box if you have questions or if you have comments or remarks or things that you would like help with as we go through this healing journey. Megan, her and I met, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know how long it's been. I've followed you on Facebook for a little while now, and I love you. I love a lot about you. There's so many things that I love about your messages that you put out in regards to intuition and developing your spiritual abilities and your spiritual gifts and the divine feminine, all of those things that you've been teaching. I know that you are a hypnotherapist and an intuitive healer and that you help people in a myriad of different ways. And so I'm really, really excited to bring you on here to kind of share you with this amazing group of people who are all of us are hungry to learn more, wherever we can learn and however we can get our hands on it. We're very open. This group of people, we are very open and just want to be able to receive from another vantage point, another perspective. It's always really healthy. So with that, I'm going to turn the time to you. Let me unpin my camera. I'm just going to let you introduce yourself and go for it.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me come. I've been to this class and I love Janet and everything she teaches. So when she asked if I could teach, I was like, oh, I'd be honored. I love your people and I love the messages she shares. So my perspective, yes, comes from my own healing. I've been working on my own healing for several years. I was a mom and obviously neglected my own health and became into a mess. And that was what led me to discover all the different healing tools I use, and especially enjoyed learning hypnotherapy and about hypnotherapy and doing it for myself. And I was like, I need to know how to do this to help people. So I trained in hypnotherapy, but inside hypnotherapy, I use all my energy tools and my intuitive gifts, and I talk to angels and ancestors and do all kinds of beautiful, fun things. So I don't know, that's just a basic little understanding of me. You can hang out with me online somewhere if you want to learn more. But today, when Janet was like, oh, will you come teach? I'm like, oh, what do I teach? So I really prayerfully thought about this topic. And especially since she was talking about sovereignty, I was thinking, what way have I learned to become a sovereign? And I think my healing process has been a long process of taking the things that I've put power on outside of myself and bringing back my power. And that sounds so cliche. And so I wanted to be like, what essentially is that? what is bringing back your power into you? And I know I've been trained and understand the power centers or the energy centers or the chakras and how important that is to my own healing and when I'm helping somebody else heal. So I'm going to talk about the energy centers or chakras today. Some of you may have an understanding of that. And then in the end, we're going to go into one of our chakras and do some healing and clearing inside of them. So the reason I picked this was I do a lot of study, and I was reading this book recently. It's called The Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Myss. And she talks all about the power centers, the energy centers, and how each of the centers are a manifestation of a power. So literally, they are things inside of us that are generating power. And when we have a void or a lack, or we create a wound, is what I like to call it, within ourselves, we are losing power. We are not creating enough power within ourselves. And often we look outside of ourselves to fill that void. So for example, today we're going to go into the solar plexus, and we're going to talk about where do we put our worth or our value outside of ourselves instead of that internal power within ourselves. So if you haven't learned about the energy centers, I was going to go through each one and talk just really briefly about what their power is. So the root chakra is at the base of the spine. And I know Janet's really good at getting us down into the base of the spine. I've used that terminology because she talks about it a lot. It's a really important energy center for getting us back into the body and grounding ourselves, because it has to do with safety and security and survival. It's red in color and frequency. And then the next one is the sacral, which is in the womb or in that mid center right below the belly button. It is for creativity and intimacy, for reasons you can expect, because we create life there. Women do, right? We become very intimate in that space of our body. The third energy center is the solar plexus. It's right in the center of the stomach. It is our power center. That's why we're going to heal that today. And it's where we are like, our worth and our identity is stored. That's what powers that center. Then the fourth one is the heart center, which is obviously in the center of the chest, and it's all connected to love and our connection. It's a very powerful center. It can fuel and fill all of the other centers. It connects to every single one of them. Then there's the throat, which is obviously expression, speaking, expressing. I also believe it is connected to hearing, because I've done a lot of clearing with hearing, and I feel like that hearing and speaking is very connected to each other. Then there's the third eye, which a lot of you have probably tapped into if you're an intuitive or if you are imaginative. It's a way to perceive, especially into the spirit world and using intuition. And then the crown chakra is our divine connection into God, to source. And it's a very powerful connection that helps us connect to all the other chakras in the body. So this human spiritual system in our body is actually an expression of our personal power. So I was like, yes, this is exactly what we need to talk about today, because this year you guys have been all focused on becoming sovereign and becoming into your own personal power. And that can be very vague. It can be like, yeah, what is my personal power? But if you think of it as an actual, you have 7 centers of your body that are your personal power. For me, it gives it a visual. It gives me like, oh, my personal power looks like these 7 centers of my body. And what pieces and parts of me am I not allowing to be in my full power because I'm giving something outside of myself power over me? So I don't know if that resonates with you, but for me, I'm like, this gives me a visual, something that I can actually see, something that I can work with and do actual healing work when I know there are 7 pieces and parts of me that are powering me that may be losing power because of something I've given power to outside of myself. So I wanted to read a quote from Carolyn Myss. I love her and all her things. So it is from this book, Anatomy of the Spirit. And she says it better than I can. So I'm like, I have to read this. So she says, we embody these truths in our 7 power centers. So those 7 areas that I talked about. They are part of our internal physical and spiritual guidance system. And at the same time, they are universal. An external guidance system for our spiritual behavior and for our creation of health. Our spiritual task in this lifetime is to balance the energies of the body and soul, thought and action, of physical and mental power. Our bodies contain an imminent blueprint for healing. People are energy duplicates of a divine power system of 7 primary energies whose truths are meant to explore and develop in this experience of life. So I love how she talks about like this is what we were meant to do, is to explore these 7 truths. And that is what helps us connect to our divine blueprint of healing. Essentially, we are asked to go into these spiritual centers of our body and decide what is off and not allowing us to be in a state of health and healing. So I love the energetic system for kind of a map of what needs to heal inside your body. And we could go on for days on all of this, and you probably have studied it everywhere. But I wanted to focus in on that today, especially in the topic of sovereignty, because as we talked about in my title, energetic attachments. When you have a void or you're losing power or you are lacking power within yourself in one of these centers, we create energetic attachments outside of ourselves to fuel that part or piece of us. So if you're having a void and your body's like, I need more power, where can I find that power? You don't know you're doing this, but visually we create energetic cords, or like a energetic cord is almost like a plug in. You're trying to plug into some power outside of yourself to fuel that part of you that is in lack, right? So that's what we call energetic attachments or cords, or lots of ways of describing that. So this can be to a person, it can be to an object, it can be to an experience or memory. There's lots of ways that we create those energetic attachments and try to fuel and fill that space inside of ourselves. So when you're energetically or spiritually wounded, wherever that is inside of you, that is often where you're going to create that energetic attachment, because that's where your body, your spirit is hungry. It's needing fuel. So when we do that with a human or something that's, not a divine source, then that is usually not helping us fill that space within us with the appropriate or the correct amount of power that we need. So a lot of times our healing work is clearing or detaching from that power that is from outside ourselves. So today, I know I could talk all about this, but I actually want to help us go into this and learn how to do that for yourself. So we can talk about energy centers and how we connect to other people, but I actually want to take time today to show you what that feels like, looks like, and go through those steps of clearing an energetic attachment that you have to something outside of yourselves. So if we were going to go into the root, I'm going to go through each of the centers, and then we're going to go to the solar plexus, because that was where I felt drawn to go today. So the root center is somewhere where you feel scarcity. You don't feel like you have enough resources. The sacral is a place where you may feel like you can't create, or where you can't become intimate or close to it in a relationship. The solar plexus is where you feel like maybe you have issues with self-worth or confidence or knowing who you are. The heart is giving and receiving love. Do you have blocks in your ability to give and receive love? The throat, obviously, suppression or overexpression of your voice. The third eye is doubting your intuition or being stuck in your imagination even. And then the crown is this like victim or controlling mindset. So all of those are places and wounds where you can feel like you are in lack or a void, where you're not able to fully be in your power. So today we're going to go into one. We could do a class on each of these and do some healing, and I would love to spend all kinds of time with all of you, but we can connect and do that another day. But today I wanted to talk about the solar plexus. It is your central power center in the stomach, and it is one that I have been working on for years. I feel like I've done a lot of work here, but there's always more. So that's why we're working on that one today. So today I want you to, if you brought your piece of paper, we're going to do your own work. I'm going to take you through the R's. These are the R's. I love R's. So there's lots of words that start with R that help with healing. So I'll just show you what the outline looks like, and then I'm a hypnotherapist, so I like to get you into your body, into your mind, into your spirit, and then I'm going to let your intuition guide you and to help you process whatever you're giving power to outside yourself in relation to your solar plexus, and especially in that self-worth arena, what your own value, that is basically the power we give other people to give us our value, right? Okay, so the first step we're going to do is we're going to recognize, and I did the first step for you. And I picked this one because it's the most common one I see. Everyone I know feels inadequate, or not good enough in some way. So we're going to recognize inside yourself today, inside your center of self-worth. Is there a piece or part of you that feels inadequate or not good enough? And you can say yes or no in the comments. You can write that out or just feel it within your body. What part of you feels inadequate or not good enough? And if you do say yes, most likely that energy is being held within the solar plexus, that center of the body where your worth and your value is stored. So if you have a void there, you're going to be looking for somewhere outside of yourself to fill the void. So the second part of recognizing is, what are you placing power on outside of yourself to fill that void, right? So for me, for my entire life, I'll give an example. Like as a little girl, so we'll take you through me. My recognition is, as a little girl, I didn't feel like I was valued or cherished. I didn't feel like people saw who I was or really knew me at a deep core level. And so I felt like maybe I wasn't good enough. And so I had this proving energy. I had to prove I was good enough. So I was doing all the things to show everybody, look at me, I am good enough. I can do this, I can do that. I do all these things. Look at me. I am good enough. And I do have value. So for me, what I was placing on outside of myself was actually this external validation of success. I wanted to look successful. I wanted people to see me and I still do it in some ways. I still see it in me. And now at least I'm aware of it. But so I was placing my value on what I could accomplish. That is the power outside of myself. So if I'm accomplishing or I'm doing, then I'm valuable. But if I'm not doing anything, and I see this, like I got sick for a whole week and I was like, oh, I'm worthless. I don't have anything to contribute to the world because I wasn't doing anything. I felt worthless. So yes, my heart, I can't love others enough. Ooh, that's a good one. So you're putting your value on your ability to love another person or show love. I love that. Good example. Okay. So you're recognizing where you feel inadequate. You're recognizing what are you putting in that void? What are you placing power in that space so that you fill that void with something outside of yourself? Okay, so we're going to do a little like group hypnosis here. We're going to go into that feeling of inadequacy, and then I'm going to help bring up some memories and thoughts and feelings that will take us to the root of where you first began to feel this. So maybe I'm saying all these things and you have no idea because you're like, I don't know. We hide all those things subconsciously inside ourselves. We hide those deep. We don't want to know those things. We want to push them aside and pretend everything's okay. So maybe when I'm talking, you're like, I have no idea. Well, that's what I'm going to help you do today. We're going to go remember where you developed this feeling of inadequacy. We're going to see who and maybe what happened. We're going to do some processing and release all that energy you've been holding on for all these years so that you can begin to return back into your highest, most pure truth and light into that space. So that I'm going to give it away at the end. At the end, I don't want you to be trying to get power from some other human or source in this earth. I want to call on the power of the divine and become one with that light and truth and pull that into the body. And we talk a lot about that. And we say, yes, I need to become one. I need to heal. I need to tap into the divine. But I actually want you to feel that process happening today, because I could sit here and talk about this and tell you all about how important it is. But I want us to do the work and get into the body and actually feel those shifts and that transformation of letting go of all that heaviness and darkness within your solar plexus, and then asking and calling for the light and truth to be poured back into your solar plexus so that you can feel that when you're getting your power from outside sources in this human existence, it is not enough. It feels dark, it feels heavy, it feels inadequate. It's not the highest truth and purest light that your body needs to be in its full power. So by the end, I want us to clear enough space to hold and open that space to receive the light and truth. And I will be pouring so many truths back into there. Okay, I know I do that a lot when I'm with my people and I tell them exactly what we're going to do before we go into it, but it helps me. I don't know, I like seeing what the plan is before I go in. And here's the deal. I make a plan. If it looks a little bit different for you, if you do it a different way, if you see or feel things differently than what I'm saying, that's okay, because everybody's experience is going to be different. So it's exactly what you need for you today. So, okay, let's go into it. Fear of lack. Always had lack. I'm stuck there. Yes. Okay, good. That might be actually even in the root chakra a little bit. But also, if you fear lack, and we're talking about the solar plexus, it may be that it's not that there is lack, but maybe you don't feel worthy or deserving of abundance. If you were gonna go to the solar plexus, I would say the lack that you're not receiving may be because you don't feel like you deserve it. And I'm seeing like a little girl, maybe a little girl who was told like, oh, I can't have nice things, or you don't deserve good things in your life. That's actually you feeling that lack of worth of receiving nice things. Always allowing people that are supposed to love me to walk all over me. Oh, good. Yes, that's a good one. I am not enough, not smart enough. Ooh, these are such good recognitions. Okay, I want you to take whatever the thought or the emotion that is coming up for you today, and we're going to go into the solar plexus right now, and we're going to start pulling out the good stuff. Okay, so this is where the fun stuff starts. Now you're like, okay, lady, stop talking. Let's get to work. Okay, so I want you to get into your body. So I need you to take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes when you're ready. And just allow yourself to get present into the body. Just allowing the body and the breath to move you deeper into this time and space and be present in this moment, knowing that you came here, your spirit knew that there was going to be some beautiful work done today. So your spirit, your mind, your body are all ready for you to dive into this, helping you see, feel, and hear exactly what your soul needs to process today. So just let those breaths bring you into the space of your body. We are going to focus in on the solar plexus. And I know my words may have kind of told you where that is, but I want you to feel right below the ribs and right above the belly button at the core center of your body. Go into that space of your body and just start allowing that deep feeling of an inadequacy to come forward. I don't want you to hold it back. I don't want you to hide it. I want you to bring it forward. Today, you are safe to feel this feeling. We've created this beautiful space for you to feel safe and secure. Going deeper into this wound, into this void, into this inadequacy inside the solar plexus. I want you to start feeling what that feels like. Allowing whatever feelings to start to grow and to start to show. Holding back nothing. As soon as you begin to feel this, that is when the healing process begins. That's when you are able to release and let go. If you try to hide or suppress or pretend it's not there, then it's going to stay there. But today you came here to feel. So begin that process of feeling and bringing that sensation to the light, out of those deep, dark crevices of the body and soul that have been holding on to inadequacy. And I'm just going to let you sit with that for a minute. Maybe it's something you haven't wanted to see or feel for a long time, but today you get to go and see it. I want you to see what that looks like for you. Often the mind appreciates when we give it a form. So what does this inadequacy look like for you? Notice, is it dark? Is it heavy? Does it have a color or shape? Good. Just give that feeling a form, helping it to be even more seen. Recognizing that it isn't even you, but just a feeling. Good. And as we deeply connect to these feelings, many of our feelings have memories. I want you to go deeper. Now that you've felt the feeling, I want you to go back into your mind and remember a time when you first felt this feeling of inadequacy. Going back maybe deep into your past, maybe when you were very young. When did you first believe you were inadequate? You weren't born that way. We were born with this deep belief in ourselves, with the light. And there was a time in your life when you began to believe that you were maybe not good enough. You were inadequate in some way, maybe not smart enough or loved enough. Maybe you didn't have enough. I just want you to find that piece and part of you now, because every memory, every experience that we have is stored within the body. And that memory and emotion is being held within you now and is ready to come forward, to be seen, heard, and processed today. Just let that memory start to form. Let those thoughts and feelings start coming further into your awareness. Today, we're bringing the subconscious into the conscious so that we can heal it, we can feel it, and we can free it. I want you to see this younger version of you who started to feel inadequate and believe they weren't good enough. I want you to see this younger version of you, and today you're going to do some inner child work or inner self. If you're not young, you're just at a different stage. I want you to see this version of you. What does this version of you want to say or ask you? And I want you to listen to the answer. Maybe a question of, I'm not good enough, or why am I not good enough? If you don't have a question or answer. Good. Now listen. Now I'm recognizing and seeing that many of you have another person who is a part of this memory. Is there someone in your life who fueled this belief, who made you feel like you were inadequate or not good enough? Are you giving your power to this person? Notice that maybe that void, that lack of self-confidence, that feeling of not good enough is there, and you are attaching yourself to someone outside of yourself where you feel like you need to prove. I want you to see who that is. For me, it's my parents, so I see my parents. I want to prove to them that I'm good enough and show them that I'm valuable, so they'll give me attention. Who is that for you? Now I want you to notice that you created this energetic attachment in a time where you felt like you needed it. You needed that attachment to feel like you could be good enough. It was a time where you needed that to survive. I want you to ask yourself now, is this attachment serving you any longer? Do you really need this to feel worthy, to feel valued? Or are you ready to let it go? Just ask yourself that. Are you ready to let it go? Mine is like a soft yes. So I want you to ask yourself, why do I still need this attachment? Why am I still holding on to it? Some of you, I'm getting this words, believe that there's nothing more to fill the void. And I'm going to teach you the truth. We're going to start placing some truth that you no longer need this attachment to fill that void and that space within you, that there is something higher, brighter, stronger, and better that can fill that space within you as soon as you are able to let this go and release. So now we're going to do the release work. And I know I'm moving quickly. If we were together one-on-one, we could go deep, but I feel like you guys are advanced and can handle this. So let's go into that space of the body that feels the inadequacy. I want you to notice what that looks like, what that feels like. And we've just learned that you no longer need this, that it's no longer serving you. And it can be as simply
Here, I'll move those.
as simple as asking for this to be removed and released. And taking those deep breaths and imagining that we're being released now. I want you to imagine each breath that you take goes into the center of the solar plexus, taking a deep breath and releasing with each breath. I want you to imagine all that heaviness, that inadequacy, just releasing from the body with intentional breathing. And I want you to hear that breath coming out. The breath was given to you as a filtration system, and when used intentionally, can be a powerful healing tool. So imagine that breath going into the space of the body that feels heavy, that feels dark, and gathering with the breath all around that space and releasing those heavier emotions of inadequacy, of not good enough. They're not even true. It's not even you. This feeling was just a feeling created in a time where you felt not good enough. And you're ready to step into your power, into your true worth and value, and to feel that and to grow that, to be into that powerful, sovereign, spiritual being that you have been designed to be. And as long as you hold on to this feeling and this belief that I am inadequate, you will not find that. You will be bound in that energy of inadequacy. So I want you to see each breath just freeing you, bringing light into that space of the body. With each breath, you breathe out darkness and you breathe in light. Also seeing many of you attached to other people outside of yourself that you're trying to prove your worth and value to. Are you ready to release that attachment? Dissolve the need to prove your worth and value to another human. That human cannot give you what you need. That human outside yourself will not show you your worth and value. That can only come from within. It can only come from the love of the highest divine source. So today you're going to release that need to hold on to that energetic attachment outside of yourself, so you can return and restore that power and light from within. So all you have to do is see or feel or imagine that energetic attachment dissolving. I want you to see it like a cord that connects you to this other person or people. And with intention, you ask for it to be dissolved, deleted, and removed from your space, from your spirit. And as you do, you feel your body getting lighter. Good. I'm going to just ask, is everyone dissolved their connection? Yes. Has everyone released the energy within the solar plexus? Yes, I think we need a little divine assistance. If you feel like you're holding on to energy within your solar plexus that feels heavy or hard to let go of, okay, I know why. I just got a bunch of ancestors. I wasn't planning on doing that, but we're going to go there. They're all here. So I want you to imagine that this work that you're doing for yourself today is beautiful and it's heavy and it's hard for you, but there are also these beautiful souls that you've been connected to spiritually, and you hold energy within your body that connects you to them. So not only are you releasing the energy of your own inadequacy, but you're also helping your ancestral line release. So I want you to take a few more deep breaths today, because you still hold a body. Many of our ancestors do not, and they come to us to help us release, to help them release any of the energy that they're holding through us, because we're connected through our spiritual lineage. So hopefully this aligns with you. If not, your ancestors are here and they want to do this work with us. So we're doing it. So I want you to go into any space of your body that feels heavy. Today you did the work for yourself. I want you to notice if there's anything that you're holding on that is not yours, that has been passed down through generations of time from people who felt the same. And give your body permission to let go. I'm also going to talk to the ancestors. They are here observing, learning always with us. And they too have held these feelings and beliefs. And it's time to let go. It's time to release. It's time to step into your light, your truth, and your power. And together we will rise in this light and the truth and the knowledge of who we really are. Good. Take a few more deep breaths with the intention of releasing any generational heaviness or inadequacy. Is that what needed to be done? Yes. Okay. That's what was holding on, that little piece left of the ancestral gunk. Did we get it all that we need to today? There's something else. And I wasn't planning on doing this, but we're doing it. We're going to go into any energetic attachments that are from darker sources, entities. You guys may have believed the lie that you were not good enough. And when we believe the lie, that lie is attached to the father of all lies, who has lots of beings who work to keep us in that darker, lower state, into the state of false beliefs about ourselves, so that we cannot find the light and truth of who we really are. I want you to realize that you were tricked. I want you to start recognizing that you believed the lie that you weren't good enough. That's not even true. That's not even who you really are. You are a being of light. You are powerful. I want you to start resonating and feeling that truth start to come back as you recognize the lie and you turn it into truth. The power of darkness no longer has power to influence you or connect to you. I feel like some of you are attached energetically to some of these beings who are fueling this lie. And as soon as you recognize it and bring awareness to it, you're able to release and let go and dissolve that. I want you to say that in your mind. This isn't even true. And then we're going to speak some truths so that that attachment dissolves and no longer has place in space within you because the lie is gone. So in your mind, I want you to say these things. I am powerful. I am aligned and I activate my internal power with the divine. I am enough just the way that I am. I know my value and worth, and it doesn't change. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of abundance. Good. Now I just want you to feel the truth of those things, filling that space of your body that was once clouded with the lie that I'm not good enough. And start to grow that light and truth. It feels like as you grow this light, there's a yellow light. I'm seeing yellow. So imagine this yellow light, like the brightness of the sun, is now growing and flowing within the solar plexus and expanding. I see it clearing and cleansing any darkness, any lies, any fear. I see it breaking anything that binds your power from being fully open and clear and able to shine. Dissolve any of those connections, any of those attachments now with this light from within. Feeling that expand throughout your body. And I'm just going to do some cleanup. We're going to ask any of the archangels from Michael to cleanse and clear the space of any dark entities that have bound these souls with darkness. Send them to a place of non-resistance, where we can be in our power and our light and our truth, free from these binding cords and lies. Is that all that needs to be done? Is there more? Okay, good. Now there's a couple sources of light that I want to connect you to that are good for you to connect to. We like to set and create these attachments to people and things outside ourselves in this world, but there is higher sources of light, of divine light, that I want to bring into your body today with intention. First, we're going to create a grounding cord to the earth. I want you to imagine at the root and the base of your spine, you have a cord that connects you. And that cord grows and it flows down into the center of the earth. Imagine the center of the earth has this beautiful crystalline core like a crystal. And you connect your cord to the crystalline core of the earth. The earth has energy. It was created to sustain life, to strengthen, to support you. I want you to imagine this energetic cord coming up into the root of your body and connecting to the base of the spine in your root chakra. And as you do, it allows that light and energy to flow back up into that solar plexus, creating a beautiful divine connection to the earth. When we talk about feeding our spirits, it is with these powerful sources of light and energy that allows us to be fed constantly, just like an umbilical cord to the earth. Feeds and fuels your spirit, and you no longer need to look outside for those sources because you are connected to that earthly source of energy from within. And just breathe that into the body and imagine it and command it to be so. Reminding your body of what it feels like to be sustained and nourished from this powerful source of energy that was created for you to sustain and support your life and your life force energy from within. And when you feel weak, you can always call on this energy to refuel and renew and replenish you. Good. Let me just ask, is everyone here corded correctly? Does anyone need assistance? Calling in angelic assistance to remove any blocks or barriers to receiving this divine energy from the earth. I want each of you to give the angels permission to clear any energetic blocks that you have with your grounding cord. Clearing and opening space for you to receive the light and energy from the earth. Is that what needed to be done? Yes. Okay, good. All the angels were like, yes. You had to tell. Sometimes you just have to give the angels permission to do the work with you. And then they can come in and do amazing things even that we don't even see. Okay, so we're going to do one more cord of energy to connect us to the celestial realms. So just like the energy of the earth has this beautiful crystalline core, I want you to imagine your soul, where it was created, your heavenly source, your celestial realm, that at the core of that heavenly source, there is this beautiful, bright, crystalline core. And I want you to imagine the crown of your head being open to receive it. Imagine like a pillar of light being poured down from your celestial source, pouring to the crown of your head. Some of you guys have your crowns shut. So give your crown permission to open and tell it it is safe to receive this light. It is safe to receive this light. And as you do, I see a bunch of crowns being opened into like a funnel. Open your crown. Imagine the crown being open to receive this light and this energy into the energetic system. And let that pour and flow down to you like liquid light, clearing your mind, your eyes, your ears, your throat, your heart, and pouring that down into the solar plexus. Oh, it feels like you guys are now energetically connected to the highest sources of light and truth. And yes, we want to know and understand it, but I want you just to allow and give permission to this light to pour back in the truth of who you really are. I want this light to remind you of your worth and value from within. And any time you start to doubt it, call on the light from the highest truth to pour this back into your soul. When your mind gets cloudy and your thoughts and your feelings are not aligned with light and truth, this source is always available for you to be poured back into the body, into the soul, to restore you back into the truth of who you really are, to remind you of your value and that it is already set, that you were already created in the image of the divine, and your worth and value is so great. And nothing you do or say on this planet, nothing anyone else does or says on this planet will change that. Everything you do here is just to bring you knowledge and understanding. It does not change your worth or your value. It just helps you know and grow. And your value is already set. I want you to feel that within you now. What does it feel like to feel my worth? Ask yourself that and let your body show you. Ask the divine to show you. What does it feel like to feel my worth? Maybe you haven't remembered that. Maybe you've forgotten it. Let the soul remind you of that light and truth of your worth now. Maybe you feel a sensation, feel a light and a strength growing within you. Let that happen for you now. Good. It's like I just had this vision of angels surrounding us and singing us beautiful songs. I just had to say that. My angels all love to sing, and they're here like holding a space of love and light around us and pouring that love into our bodies. I'm just getting a message like they just want us to remember. They just want us to remember. So don't forget this feeling. I want you to lock into that feeling within yourself now, because I know how hard it is to hold on to that. Whoa, it's very powerful. I want you to make a memory of this feeling right now and anchor it into the body. And anytime you need that, I need you to remember what we created here today. I need you to remember that light that you called on from the highest sources of divine truth. And if this ever fades, that you have that ability and capability to call on that light and to fill the spaces of your body with truth again. And don't let any of those lies or deceptions get in the way. And anything that you experience that is in opposition to this light and truth was to give you experience to discern the difference. So if you've experienced inadequacy and feeling like you weren't good enough, that's exactly what you were meant to experience. You were meant to know what it felt like to feel not good enough. So that when you got back into this space of knowing your truth, your light, you would remember and you would understand the difference and the importance of being here. If your feeling is a feeling, not a memory. I just want you to make a mental note of this feeling, maybe label the feeling. So everyone here, give some kind of image or word, something that you can call on to help you remember what it feels like right now. So for me, I just got a bright visual of the sun. So whenever I need to remember this feeling that I created today, I'm going to imagine a bright yellow sun expanding and filling and taking away any darkness or heaviness. Maybe you need a word like power or love or peace. Maybe you need a being like God or Christ. What is that anchor for you to call back into the space of your body again? A tree. Yeah, do you need an image or a word? I need you something to anchor in this feeling again. And just create that so that you can call it in anytime. So my anchor is now sun, and it's also the feeling of the sun and that sensation of light. What is it for you? Good. Now take a few deep breaths. Let all these new truths and all this wisdom, even if it was brought to you from imperfection, be brought to you in the most perfect way for you. That I was just the guide using words, but you opened yourself to receive truth and light today. And I'm so grateful for that you took time and space to bring yourself into this new place of light. So take a few deep breaths and let these new truths change you, transform you. When you come back, you are brighter, lighter, and better because of the work you've done today. Start bringing awareness into the body, into your fingers and toes, and then come back into the space around you. Oh, you guys are awesome. I kind of felt like I was all over the place, but once I get in the zone, things just start flowing and we just go with it. So thank you for letting me the imperfect healer for you today. But I felt like whatever happened today was exactly what you guys needed. And I'm grateful that you would be here and let me guide you to that. And yes, you can share what your image or your anchor was in the comments if you like. A sunshine or tree. I love both of those. Even a word, if that helps.
That was so powerful, Megan. So powerful.
Oh, because see, and in my head, I'm like, oh, that wasn't good enough. I'm like already falling back into the
like, you know what? I think what you should do is go back and listen to the replay, and you go along with the meditation with your voice guiding you. Because I do that too. Sometimes I come out of a guided experience with my clients or whatever, and I think, I don't know, I don't even know if they got anything out of that. But then I find out later, yeah, they did. It was really connecting. It was really amazing.
Yeah. I obviously need the words as well. So thank you for giving me a chance.
It's so vital in this world that we live in, and it's becoming more and more evident in every system, in every climate, in every religion, in every culture, in every society. We're now starting to realize as human beings that standing in your I am, standing in there and connecting with that fearlessly and trusting that more than you trust anything else outside of you and anyone else outside of you is vital. It's how you connect with the divine. It's how you are led to truth, because we live in a world where there's a lot of deception, and there's a lot of like people scratching their heads right now going, what is going on? I thought this was right. I thought this was the way. I thought this was, whatever. And we're now starting to realize the only real true source of truth and light that you can trust in this world, it comes from within. It comes from the divine. It comes from the creator of all that is. And you tap into that by standing sovereignly, autonomously in your own I am, and trusting it and not diminishing it and not second guessing it. And that's what I love about you, Megan, because that's the first thing that I got from you when we first connected was, wow, this woman stands in her sovereignty and she knows who she is and she trusts it. So I'm going to turn the last little bit over to you to wind us up. And
Perfect. Well, I love what you said, because everyone always says, find your power from within. But then you always feel inadequate. So it's like this weird, how do I find power within if I feel inadequate? And I love that connection that we created with the divine, because we always think it's something outside of ourselves. And we all have learned, like the at one-ment.
yeah,
We are literally trying to become one with the divine and make that divine light spark within us, and that we were one with that. So when we do feel inadequate, we call on that higher source to fill in our inadequacy and make space within our soul. So then we are enough when we're one with God. So for me, when I'm inadequate, I'm like, oh, fill in the spaces, use that grace and fill in the spaces where I feel inadequate. Because then we are human. We don't have all understanding and glory yet. So
we have access to it.
Yes. So with the access to it and learning how to use it and understanding how that feels within us is the important part. So that's the healing, is getting rid of the things that are not allowing you to be one with that divine within you.
And I think that
you felt that today.
Yeah, so cool. There's some great comments coming through too, but I was just going to add one last piece, is that as you learn to disconnect from those unhealthy attachments, then it's safe to be one. Because when we're one, we're attached to everything. Not attached, but we're connected to everything, because I'm not all truth, but as I'm connected to you and everyone else in the universe and everything else in the universe, then I am all truth.
I love that. Well, and if you connect with the divine, that's the pure source of connection to everything. If you connect with in your own, you know what I'm saying? I see what you just said. Like, connect to the divine source, which is connected to everything, not to everything around you here. Then you are in alignment with the purest source of connection to one of everything.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. This was so good. I needed all of it. So thank you. And I'm so glad that this was an answer to prayer. I've been praying and hoping that whoever needed this today was able to feel it. And I'm sorry it was fast. I feel like I only had a short amount of time. Normally we could pause and ponder and talk about it and do some really deep stuff. So you got a short version of a healing in a quick amount of time. So that's good. I'm glad it helped.
Thank you. So I would like to just maybe finish up with what are your final thoughts, your final takeaways for today? And then if you would, after that, just share with everybody, because they're going to want to know how they can get in touch with you or follow you or whatever you do.
So my final thoughts, or everybody else's final thoughts?
I would like your final thoughts.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I love the idea of sovereignty. I feel like that is a beautiful and powerful thing. But at the same time, when you talk about being alone in your own power, I feel like that's still scary to me. Like, so I do feel like sovereignty doesn't have to be alone when you do have a God or a divine source. For me, I see Christ, Heavenly Mother, and Heavenly Father. Like, I feel like I have a whole team that's helping me learn to become sovereign. I even have angels and guides, and I'm not doing it alone, even though I'm learning to be in my own power. I'm not alone in that process. And even I have Janet and I have you, like, even though you can be in your power, doesn't mean you're alone, because a lot of us, feel like, oh, I have to be independent and powerful. And I feel like it's really important to know that we are still so guided and supported and loved in coming into our own power.
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect.
And how you hang out with me? I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I mostly hang out in my Facebook group, which is called Intuitive Empowerment, where I do all kinds of meditations and offers and healing in there. So I'd love any of you there.
Okay, awesome. And I posted the link where you can follow Megan. You guys can grab that link, copy and paste it wherever you need it. And thank you again. It's always nice to collaborate and get different vantage points and you have different skills and different gifts, and as we all do, have different gifts. And so this is a wonderful opportunity to share. And thank you everybody for participating. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments, and we'll see you next week. I have a special exciting surprise for you again next week. So everybody stay tuned and bring your friends and family and those who you think would benefit the most from this, and have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.